Welcome back. We are well into day 2 now with 2 matches down, and we continue our journey through the round of 16. Welcoming back to the desk, Ketchup and Lethal. Good morning, good afternoon. We have got vengeurR versus Sib coming up next, and certainly plenty to say about both of these players. Let's talk about vengeurR. He has kind of been the talk of the town lately here, stage 2, stage 3. We've literally watched him develop as a player, develop his own style, really mature as someone who has great potential to become a legend in the world of arena FPS. vengeurR makes his debut here in the round of 16 for the QPL World Championship. Ketchup, let's start with you. Watched a lot of his games. What are your thoughts on vengeurR?
I've always said that my favorite thing about vengeurR is how much of an inspiration he always is to that kind of new generation of Quake player. He's no longer, always that kind of forever 19, I guess. But the whole point is that this is a franchise that is so cemented in legacy that being able to watch players that might have grown up watching, the Coolers and the Raffas and everything else, and then you fast forward many years, here vengeurR is Europe C2. I mean, that's almost a kind of dream come true, that Cinderella story. But what impresses a lot of people is that vengeur's placements get better and better, to the point where the only place left to go really for him is kind of winning the tournament. That's the only thing realistically left for him to ever be satisfied with, because he's not satisfied unless he gets first place. And with the results like the ones he's had this stage, not too shabby, as you can clearly see. This could definitely be his weekend to shine.
Yeah, I kind of feel like his time to shine or to win an event is well overdue. I kind of feel like he should have won something by now, but the problem is with players like Rafa and at the time Razy, it's very, very difficult for him to comprehend some of the stuff he has to deal with. It's kind of a rock, paper, scissors matchup. Sometimes I feel like vengeurR could do better against Rafa, and then Razy beats vengeurR, and it's like it's pretty much a circle, and it's very difficult for vengeurR to try and get round. But I feel like he's at his peak performance. He's been playing at his best so far from what we've seen, especially over the last couple of months. And the good thing about vengeurR is that he looks at all aspects of the game, so not just Quake in general, but just on and off the server as a player, just keep himself healthy and in check off the server with how he eats and exercises, and just make sure in the best shape, again, like I said, both on and off the server, and keeping a very strict regimen in terms of how he practices. So he's doing everything that needs to be done in order to be the best he can be. And surely this is going to be his tournament now to maybe be able to take that, the first place finish, possibly.
Over the past few stage finals, we've seen him progressively perform better and better. In the last stage finals, making it all the way to the losers final, had an incredible series versus Cypher. It was 3-2 in favor of Cypher. And then, of course, Cypher went on to play Rafa. But I agree with you. I think that we're looking at a player with an enormous amount of potential, but as with any player who wants to make it there and try to hit that number one spot, they've got a lot of journey to take, a lot of road to walk. And so we find vengeurR up against his first opponent here for the QPL World Championships, and that is Sib, coming in through the stage 2 finals during the challenger matches and playing most recently during stage 3. Sib had what I would say is kind of an expected performance during stage 3. Some areas where he definitely, I think, went above and beyond in terms of expectations from fans and audience. And, he finds himself here now in the finals with the ability to put a notch on his belt. What do you think about Sib?
I feel like Sib is in that process of still getting, I think, familiar with just how high the skill ceiling has become. I think this finals weekend is going to be even more of a reflection of that. There's a lot of growing that I think still needs to be done, but he's on the way. And I think that is the important part of this, that he keeps himself in this round of 16, right? That's going to be the first challenge done and accomplished, which is the important thing. Now, straight into the Shark Tank. He definitely did not have the most successful run during the weeklies, but this is the ultimate test, right? The reality is the weeklies dictate seeding, placement, and all that. But when it's time to play in tournament, if you're going to have the absolute greatest Quake of your life, it's tournament above all else. Yeah. So I think that's what we have to factor in here, is that if Sib is bringing that absolute S+ game, that is the only thing that's realistically going to even stand a chance against vengeurR. But until that map is done, there's always a chance.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I feel like even if he was at his peak, like I mentioned against some of the other players, especially against vengeurR, I still feel like he has almost no chance. It's been very difficult for him. He does make a couple of excuses here and there for some of his bad plays or bad performances. But if you do make some of these excuses, then you kind of say you can hold yourself back from trying to fix what needs to be rectified along the way. But there's sometimes where he's been playing very well, and we've seen some signs of life here and there. But against someone like vengeurR, it's very tough. I think it's just going to be another hurdle for vengeurR, which he's just going to try and overcome, and then just try and work towards staying in that winners bracket. Because, you know, with players like Rafa before and all that, like he's always been in the winners bracket and always have to face him in the grand final from losers. It's been very tough, and people want to try and hold into that winners bracket for as long as possible.
Well, let's take a look at the picks and bans here for vengeurR versus Sib. Coming up next, we've got Corrupted Keep as map number 1, going to be moving on to Deep Embrace. Been seeing a lot of Deep Embrace so far today. And then Molten Falls, very similar to, in fact, exactly the map selection that we saw versus Kilson and Waz moments ago. Who wants to talk a little bit about our champion picks here?
I'm a bit worried about the maps, to be honest with you. We
Same.
have so that the likelihood of vengeurR being able to, I think, quite comfortably handle Sib here. We're starting off with a snowball heavy map, and then we are in a shock ton of events going into another snowball heavy map.
Yeah.
We just saw Kilson versus Waz on Deep Embrace. We talked about how that is easily the most dominant map of the weekend. But I kind of feel like vengeurR, being vengeurR, has a high chance here of being able to, dare I say, even match that with the second map that we're going to be seeing here.
Yeah, I'm going to go by maps alone here. I think Sib should be quite happy with the fact that some of his better maps statistically has been Corrupted Keep and Molten Falls. But vengeurR, one of his better maps have also been Corrupted Keep. And there is, actually, I was going to say, he's actually pretty good on Veil, but it's decided to ban it, which has been pretty interesting in itself. And yeah, I think we may remember vengeurR playing the Athena against Razy on Deep Embrace last time, and I think it was on week 12, and it was just a real treat to watch. It was just phenomenal, all the stuff he was doing, and yeah, it was just remarkable, the speed and how he's dictating the pace. That was just unbelievable, and I hope we see a lot more signs of that as well coming from vengeurR, especially against a player like Sib. But so like I said, Sib is going to struggle without a doubt. I think he knows that deep down, considering the experience he has. And we'll have to see if he can turn the tide, but it's going to be looking highly unlikely, considering vengeurR is one of the favourites here to win the entire competition.
It may be highly unlikely, but we are going to hold Twitch chatters accountable. For example, the Saddest Truth, who says, if this goes to Molten, I'm going to eat my shoe. And we're going to request all of the pictures, Saddest Truth. So we're watching out there. All right, let's get this match underway. vengeurR versus Sib. This is going to be our last round of 16. Coming up after this, our quarterfinal matches, every single one of them a heavy hitter. Catch up. You get front row seats to this one. Lethal and I are going to be casting. We'll see you on the other side.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, I think what people are excited for, Lethal, obviously those who are proud vengeurR fan club card-carrying members and often ride on the vengeurR bus, they want to see what vengeur's looking like, right? In kind of his first match of the tournament here. So I'm in the same boat so far. I think all of the players that we expect to really bring it so far here at the World Championships are doing exactly that. We saw that Kilson matchup. He's looking like he's on fire.
Oh,
vengeurR, yeah. I think many expect the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know about the scoreline which Kilson just brought to the table against Waz, but don't be surprised if it is going to be a huge deficit on at least one of these maps. But like I mentioned before, if it goes to a map 3, then at least that way Sib can say to himself, well, this is one of my best maps, one of my favourite maps here, and at least I stand a little bit of a chance. But I'll be
Yeah.
gobsmacked if it goes to a map 3. And Sib, don't go wrong, is a good player,
Will
but
you eat your shoe if it goes to a map 3?
There we go. Yeah, I'm not wearing any shoes right now, so I don't know what I'm
Okay,
gonna do.
well,
Maybe I
there
can
you
eat my
go.
socks
So
or
you
something.
should just say, yeah, the invisible shoes I've got on, totally. I'll just munch away. So, yeah, and I think the comments that you were making about the snowball potential here, absolutely a possibility. So, you know, we've seen Sib in some scenarios play maybe even too defensively. I don't know that that's going to work versus a player like vengeurR, but, you know, you do still want to play cautiously. So we're underway and looking through the eyeballs of vengeurR right now. Off the spawn, vengeurR got the mega while Sib got the heavy. And so far, a scoreless game as both players kind of carve out their side of the map and wait for that first major engagement.
I think all of us have been very excited to see what vengeurR can bring to the table, because he is making his debut, and that LG was so smooth and it was just ridiculous. Good heavy machine gun, again, just getting enough value to add extra damage along the way. vengeurR just going to try and go for the flank, but it's backed off just to keep Sib guessing, but Sib's actually checking the right angle, but the LG is looking too good again for vengeurR, and I always feel like vengeurR's got one of the best LGs in the business, and it looks like the Pika will be flying downwards onto him. He's going to catch him on the rocket spawn, and will he be able to clean up? Yes, he does. A quick 2-0 after that first minute.
And here's the snowball potential that you talked about, catching one conversion frag right off the bat. Oh, looking at another one very, very close, but Sib does get away. vengeurR only breaking off to grab himself that heavy armor. And yeah, I mean, like, just noting the amount of damage that vengeurR is able to put out without really taking any in return. Right now, already at 1,000 damage to the 300. A lot of it has to do with that impeccable LG that we're seeing him already pull out. But some of these decisions early on is what can really make the difference here for a player like vengeurR versus Sib, where we just see a lot of really, really smart, intelligent decisions coming out here by vengeurR, and we saw that early with the initial peeker kill.
Just a real treat. Again, just watching him with that LG. His tracking's remarkable, just avoids that flame strike. Now he's just pushing it on straight forward. Items aren't coming up for another 10 seconds, so he can do what he can against Sib. Hasn't got the stack, but at least he can maybe do a little bit of damage before he contests that heavy, but he decides to go for the light and the mega, which makes perfect sense. Now he's got to decide how he wants to approach Sib once again. Just standing his ground top mid, some good heavy machine gun damage, good direct, and the Pika's just did a bit of a tickle their wheat, but he's going to be okay about that. It's just deciding where Sib could be going next. This is just hanging around that red room whilst vengeurR picks up that light. And the mega will be his main priority here, but already taking a fair amount of damage. 31 HP, both of them on a similar HP actually, as Sib does manage to get away to fight for another day.
I do like that Sib's looking for those opportunities to use that flame strike, really dish out a huge burst of damage. And, you know, it's going to be crucial here to victory. The other thing, too, is that, you know, this is a tough matchup period because no rail, LG is going to be very prominent, but you've got to basically be doing as well or better when your LG accuracy than your, you know, versus your opponent. And vengeurR's shown his LG is just absolutely beast. So 4-0 right now, 3 minutes in. vengeurR does catch Sib yet again. We do see that flame strike come out, and it just more or less as like a giant firework in the sky. It really didn't do much damage, but there was a nice little light show there.
He's predicting Sib's movements so well, just catching him off guard and flying in at every single angle every time just to not give Sib much of a chance to react. And this is what separates a lot of these top tier players in comparison, just trying to, you know, catch their opponent off guard, just relying on their speed, dictating the pace of this matchup. Again, just hanging around at the heavy machine gun area to making sure he can contest that so that Sib has no range game with that stack. And this is where vengeurR could chip away at him. He could lose his first, give away this first frag, but just using that. Oh, okay, did a fair amount of damage anyway. Managed to get 72 off, and that rocket is just going to make matters worse now for Sib. But remember, Sib still has the stack, but Sib's just a little bit worried. He's waiting for him to make the first move instead. And knowing that, the Mega's come at the next couple of seconds, vengeurR has to give up. He's literally waiting for that light, and we'll try and go for the next light, just depending on where Sib is going to go. So standing this ground, great damage there with the LG once more, and manages to contest that heavy beautifully, considering him not having a stack advantage.
Yeah, and I mean, like Sib is in a position, like for example, in that last position, he did take some of that damage. He had to be careful there, but he really also didn't really have the weapons that he needed. Lacking an LG, he still doesn't have an LG right now. Makes it tough when you've only got rockets. And unfortunately, there's another frag, but you only have rockets. The shotgun makes it difficult, especially when vengeurR can just pull out that LG and dish out a lot of damage very quickly. 7-0 now, as the Flame Strike did go out yet again, and vengeurR sent a rocket from the heavens down below. And 5 minutes in, or halfway through this game, but Sib has not yet gotten on the board. I think he's looking for a really solid DPS burst with that Flame Strike. Good rocket coming in there, and vengeurR is going to back off from here, but a lot of great decisions coming out by vengeurR.
Even when Sib's had a much larger stack, he hasn't really been able to do much with it. Backs away with that Flame Strike. Sadly for him, that's the second one which he's missed. Still got a few minutes left to play with, but this has just been very well controlled by vengeurR. I never felt at one stage that this matchup has got out of hand in any way, or got a bit chaotic and anything like that. And this is exactly how vengeurR was looking to play leading up to these finals. He's trying to back off just to try and survive, picks up the light, going straight for the heavy. He could have maybe risked that, but I think he's just trying to be extra element of caution, and even then picks up the 25, picks up the heavy, and now he's just gonna try and hunt Sib down once again. Just check and see if he's at the LG. Good direct. 2 directs in a row. Yes. 10-0. And he's got 3 minutes and 40 left to play with. And Sib now's probably thinking, what on earth do I have to do to even get a frag, let alone take this map?
Such a sick midair, and you really truly are seeing someone who has so much champion potential, and we've just seen the maturity of vengeurR as a player really improve over the last couple stages, and you're seeing it here. Is not overdoing it. He's not going overly aggressive. He's doing exactly what he needs to do to win, and I kind of like that mentality, right? Every player has a fuel tank. Every match you play depletes a little bit of that fuel. vengeurR knows that he's got a lot of really difficult opponents that are potentially in front of him if he wants to do as well as we all know he wants to do. And so I do like the pace in which he's playing this. Slow and steady, still, playing his game, but not necessarily overdoing it.
Yeah, dictating the pace like I mentioned earlier. Great aim skill, doesn't look shaky in the slightest. 2.5 minutes in, this map has been all vengeurR. Even with 2.5 minutes left, there's nothing much really Sib can do. And I must say, it's only been one map, but vengeurR's really looking bulletproof, and he's almost went out the map. Finally, he does get taken down, and maybe vengeurR assumed that he was going to go out the map, but it's not going to be the case. Sib's on 37 HP, managed to stop the peak before he cleaned him up. And still only a couple minutes left remaining. But yeah, this is pretty much vengeurR's map here. Just depends how Sib wants to keep the score respectable, or just think about this next map coming up next. As vengeurR just adding even more damage, up 13-1 with a huge stack.
Yeah, I mean, just getting on the board against someone who is a potential champion, it's still worthwhile, right? We talked about a little bit in the Kilson versus Waz matchup too. It's like, Kilson's been a champ. There's nothing shameful about losing to a player as great as Kilson or vengeurR, right? Because of the work they put in and the results that they produce. So getting even a single frag is better than nothing. So good to see him at least working on that. vengeurR, though, continuing his reign here on Corrupted Keep. We're going to be going on to Deep Embrace next, and we kind of highlighted and mentioned that Athena. We'll talk more about it, but I'm definitely excited to see what happens here. As we head into the final minute, Lethal, vengeurR is going to pretty easily and convincingly wrap this first game up. Sib does get one more frag to add to, maybe another one, although he gets down to the danger zone and is chased off. But in our final minute, looks like vengeurR will take game one.
Yeah, vengeurR's been making Sib's life just an absolute misery from the very beginning. And yeah, like you said, though, at least he's got a couple of frags. He hasn't made it so that, there's a few kinks in the armor of vengeurR, but even then, I'm not too sure what he can do in this next map. We've seen how Venger's played with the Athena on Deep Embrace, and it's just remarkable the stuff he's been able to pull off. Sib left on 25 HP.
Yeah.
Venger's already picked up the heavy. Only 15 seconds left now until Sib can recuperate and decide how he wants to approach this next map. But I'm not too sure if it's going to be any different. It could be, yeah, sure, it's a light champion, but even then, though, he's going to dictate the pace once again. We'll have to see if Sib can do anything differently. Wenger 15-2, huge margin, and we expected nothing less.
Yeah, I mean, Wenger, as was stated earlier, is absolutely one of the contenders who could walk away with the championship. Obviously, a lot of hills to climb. Rafa being one of them. Many others as well. His own teammates, Cypher, Avic, Kilson, right? A whole slew of great talent. But you got to start somewhere, and this is exactly what we're seeing out of Wenger. I wonder if we'll see him maybe pick up the pace a little bit more. Athena is a champion that you do need to kind of play with a quicker pace, in my opinion. So, right, we might see him pick it up a little bit here from map 1 to map 2 as we go into Deep Embrace.
Yeah, let's be real. She's a bit of a nuisance to play against, especially in the right hands. And I think I was talking about the LG from Wenger and how his tracking just looks absolutely disgusting. Again, a pleasure to watch. 52%, 2600 plus damage as well.
That's wild.
Yeah, I can understand why it was curtains, and you could see as well, Sib around the 670 mark, he was like, yeah, I'm pretty much toast at this point. Let's just get ready for the second map. But he did try and make a comeback on a few occasions, but he knew from then onwards it's going to be a very tough battle to come back from. 2201 more damage. Oh, yeah, you couldn't make this stuff up, really. 23 items as well. Just everything was pretty much textbook there for Wenger.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been there before too, right? When you're playing an opponent who's clearly got a better LG accuracy than you, and it's just like, what do I do? Other than like put myself on a map for 6 hours and just practice LG, it's tough, right? And I think that's exactly what we commonly see on Cryptic Keep. Not saying like the better LG always wins on Cryptic Keep, not the case at all, but it certainly makes a huge difference if your opponent's LG is on fire and you're not really able to make that work. So all things aside, Cryptic Keep is over. We're moving on to Deep Embrace now. We talked about the Athena, obviously Ranger being played by Sib, another champion that we see quite a bit here, but I'm digging the Athena meta as we see more players get more comfortable with it. They discover new tricks. We're seeing the offensive Athena, the defensive Athena, the momentum Athena, right? Like there's so much utility here, but it comes at a cost. One mistake can completely just knock everything out of your hands, make you trip. Then it takes a little bit to get going. And, you're a little bit squishier than I think most players would like to be, but still so much fun to watch.
Yeah, when we saw him play against Razy last time, it was a pleasure to watch, absolutely. And now we get to watch it again just to witness what kind of chaos that Wenger's going to bring again against Sib in this second map. Or could Sib bring it back? We'll have to see what he can come up with this time round. But 52% LG. Oh, I don't know, honestly, I would like to be a little bit optimistic this time round, but it's going to be extremely tough. Wenger's already got the high grounds. He's got the rockets. Just dishing a little bit of damage to keep his opponent at bay. And once again, just being a bit more cautious this time round at the start of this matchup. Pretty common here, especially on Deep Embrace. But again, just keeping him back. He hasn't been able to do a huge amount yet, but just keeping Sib on his toes. Good rocket there. Is able to get the rail on top. And now he's got the heavy. He's trying to pick up the pieces, just trying to clean up Sib. Will he be able to? Just out of range of that LG. So Sib's got away, but for how long?
That rail after the orb was delightful right there. Sib in the back hallway does get hit, and there is the LG. Now, Wenger's start on that one, immediately using a grapple to actually find Sib and then deny that LG, it forced Sib to go over and say, well, I need some long-range weapon, mid-range weapon to play with. He went for the rail, and that's, Wenger kind of set that up perfectly. That he knew that's exactly what he was going to do. But Wenger's definitely prioritizing keeping weapons out of the hands of Sib. And we've seen him do this versus other opponents as well. But 3-0, 1 minute, 25 seconds in, you can already see how the grapple is kind of coming into play here on Deep Embrace. Wow.
Also, the chat have spoken. They feel like it's going to be 98% in favor of vengeurR, which is huge, but I don't blame him considering what we saw in that last matchup. Another great rail, good discipline as well on the spawn, and this is possibly the beginning of the ends, but let's see what Sib can do to bring this back. Like you said, she's quite a squishy champion, so if he gets that first frag, then maybe with the spawn rail and just keeping him pinned, then Sib can make a little bit of a comeback. But yeah, again, it's a big ask here. But nice all by Sib. So nice way to start things off for him. But he didn't really get to keep him on the spawn. Had to give away the mega. Good LG damage from vengeurR. And Sib has backed away. Just sitting in place to get this heavy. But will he be able to? Is look at that. Just standing his ground. Just trying to stop him from getting any further after that heavy. And once again, vengeurR having to back away.
Yeah, I mean, Sib's used the orb defensively, right, escaping, and but I like seeing it in an offensive fashion right there, and pick up a few more frags that way if he can land those perfectly placed orbs. But vengeurR brings it back into his favor, 5-1, and with the control on that last frag. Now setting up for the heavy. It actually is stolen away by Sib, but vengeurR still getting the frag, running away from that one. Very, very low, bleeding out of both arms and both legs, but is able to recover at 81. Would like to find some armor. Then we're going to see some momentum swing, and ouch, just suicide as he falls down into the jump pad tube and blows himself up with a rocket. 5-1 though. Sib's still in the danger zone. He's got to be careful here as heavy's picked up again by vengeurR.
vengeurR now, good rail, and again, just waiting for him on the spawn. Couldn't get the position he would like to in order to line that shot up, but it doesn't matter as he's already got Sib pinned down. Hits the first rail, looking for the second, but decides to go with the direct rocket, which is fair enough. It's going to try and once again keep him on spawn. Didn't get it in time, but that's fine. Like, he's going to be okay with that. Managed to pick up the mega anyway. Heavy's up in the next couple of seconds. Looks like Sib is going to be able to grab that. As vengeurR now trying to get a different angle onto Sib. Realises that he's probably still down there. The rocket jump fails Sib, but with the Ranger passive ability, won't take too much damage from the rocket, so it's not going to really hinder him too much, as vengeurR has recovered. 4 minutes into this game already, vengeurR with a nice healthy lead.
Yep. Looking at the scoreboard, 7-1 is a pretty, as you said, a pretty nice little lead here. Some good tri-bolt coming out, almost 100 damage on that one. And, you know, at that point, doesn't necessarily even need to go for that heavy. I mean, the amount of damage just dished out right there is enormous. Sib now in need of some health, which unfortunately is all on the side that, where vengeurR is present. So vengeurR picks up another one here, and 8-1, not even halfway through this matchup quite yet. And you're seeing how the mobility of Athena can really, really let you control and dominate this match. So far, no forced errors here on vengeur's behalf with those grapples, and he just continues to collect those frags.
Look at that discipline from vengeurR, knowing that Sib is going to delay the respawn once again, and he actually went backwards, but didn't throw vengeurR off at all. He's just expecting any kind of minor plays that Sib tries to make just past the halfway stage. 9-1. And vengeurR with an absolutely humongous stack. And Sib hasn't really got any armor to his name here. vengeurR just keeping tabs on it at the moment, just using that grapple hook just to elevate him ever so slightly here, just waiting for Sib to make the first move. Finds him underneath near that murder hole. It's actually popped all the way back towards that heavy, but goes for the light instead, just hanging around top mid. Going back, but it's actually standing his ground just a tad to see where vengeur's going to go next. We'll take that one rail. LG will be coming out. Probably not something you want to do, but Sib's going to be okay with that. Takes him down with the LG. Manages to recover quite nicely. It's still got a few minutes left to play with.
Yeah, Sid was in a great position to win that LG battle. So nicely done standing his ground and getting the job done. vengeurR very, very low. Sib looking for it. Railed through the murder hole, making it 9-3. And vengeurR now on the spawn recovery, picking up a rail and a rocket launch. We're going to have a fight here at heavy for sure. Sib lands a rail that he really needed. Going to swing in to try to find that frag, and he does with a shotgun blast, as Sib has been able to string a few frags together. vengeurR just looking for an opportunity to go back in, but this is also that disadvantageous side of playing as Ranger, is that one rail off the bat puts him in the danger zone. A second rail will follow up, but Sib very, very low, and vengeurR knows it. You've got to walk away with those clean frags if you want to make sure you're going to be able to convert and bring those back up. Huge orb coming in. vengeurR saw it a mile away, looked up, fired the rocket. 10-5. He regains control, and another frag off of the spawn. Absolutely wild what we're seeing here out of vengeurR.
Yeah, Sib did show some signs of life, but it was only for like 30 seconds, and now vengeurR is just going on a tear once again. Realizes that Sib's on the LG spawn, just managed to get away through the murder hole, heading all the way back. Mega's coming up in the next 12 seconds, but first he's going to try and take Sib down again. Some tickets of damage here and there, not going to drop down from as of yet. He's going to go for the flank around. Good rail, good prediction there, good read, good rails on top of that. And 2.5 minutes left, going 3 for 3, almost 4 for 4, but it's not going to happen. But vengeurR's going to be pretty pleased about that anyway. Just going to clean him up with the heavy machine gun, wait for him on the spawn. When's he going to pop? There he is, but vengeurR's just waiting patiently to appear, and has picked up the heavy once again.
Oh, we're about to hit that 2-minute warning as rails are continue to fly out. Sib missing that shotgun blast. Only a little bit of damage there. vengeurR, he's able to clean that one up quite easy. 15-5 now is the score, and this looks like it's going to be an easy 2-0 victory here for vengeurR. Now, what that means is that vengeurR is going to be going on and facing Base in his next matchup. One I am super excited for. Base is playing just out of his mind. vengeurR obviously coming off of this win, looking very, very good. So I'm excited. Lethal, we've got a great afternoon ahead of us.
Yeah, we've got a long day of Quake among us, but do you know what? Can't complain, can we, really? Because every single match is going to be a right belter from here on out. vengeurR, you can see, just... He was going to be okay. He wasn't railable at that point, but... Yeah, like you rightly mentioned, some of the matches we have today is just going to be absolute madness. Like, even Rafa versus Avik coming up next. That should be a match which everyone should be planning to watch coming up next, straight after this one on the A stream. And vengeurR now is just basically just extend this lead as much as he can, but it's pretty much said and done, like you rightly said. It's going to be a 2-0. vengeurR's going to be pretty pleased about that. Sib showed some limes earlier on, but that was literally about it. So good effort from Sib, but just weren't going to be anywhere enough.
Yep, final seconds of this game, and we will see vengeurR advance. As Lethal mentioned, coming up next, we got Rafa versus Avik as we switch gears from the round of 16 into the quarterfinals. And then we're going to be moving back to the lower bracket to advance through some of those matches. And, of course, tomorrow is finals day, as we have a gauntlet challenge in the middle here to wrap us up, and the midair gauntlet coming out, but Sib with shotgun blast. 19-7, looking to be pretty close to what our final score is going to be. 5 seconds running down. There's the GGs, and let's just call it right there. 19-7 in favor of vengeurR. He takes the series 2-0.
I'm just looking at the hit percentages then. Like, you got to remember, vengeurR was on one of the NA servers then. I think it was NA East or NA Central. And look at that. Still hit 73% rail. And that's not even like based on a small amount of shots. That's 19 out of 26 shots fired. And even both the Rockets and the LG were in the 40s. Like, you can't make this stuff up.
Let's bring Ketchup back and see what he thought about this matchup. I mean, nothing too unexpected, but anything you observed?
I think you kind of said it yourself. Everything pretty much went down the way we expected. There was that kind of maybe 3/4 of the way through Deep Embrace, where Sib was able to start chaining some stuff together. It was nice to see him kind of have that confidence to still be that player absolutely needed to. It did kind of crumble when the intention was to try to play really the best he could on the back foot. Fresh off those spawns, he was delaying it, he was going for different timings, he was moving around a little bit as he appears, but as we've seen many times on Deep Embrace, when you're that far behind and they start to chain those frags together off spawn, there really is only so much you can do. And a 2-0 for vengeurR, I think, surprises nobody.
Yep, he's going to be moving on and facing base next. Lethal, any final thoughts before we jump to our break and get ready for our quarterfinals?
Not too much. I think the stats there spoke for themselves, didn't it? 2,400 more damage, and vengeurR making his debut. Good first impression. Look forward to see how he does later on.
We're not going to have to wait too long. The next 4 matches are all going to be quarterfinal matches, including that one, base versus vengeurR. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, it is Rafa once again returning to the stage, but this time his opponent is Aavik. It's going to be explosive. You better stick around. We're going to be right back.